Hello, friends. Oh, I didn't even have the right screen up. What is wrong with me? Oh well. Can't do nothing about it now. Got my Pocky on hand. All right. Now, what went into episode 2? Not a lot. Not a lot indeed. We will deal let's do some detail work. I don't know. That'll do the trick. Eating Pocky 2 at a time like a gremlin.
He sees it is regarded as
What a nice light gradient. Maybe we'll make that color a little bit lighter. Making a more vibrant sky. Yeah, I like that. My favorite watercolor brush. So I need what kind of a Richie color? Oh, nope, not on that layer. We'll get to the class here in a second. And then I need more green color. Very nice. And then on this layer, I'm actually going to need my cloud brush, which we will tone way down. Go back to these blues and bring them. Just kind of just go off into a nice light bluish white. And just kind of like silhouette some clouds. And come back in with some lighter blues to just create some shadows. What puppy? And then we come back in with the white and just add in some soft highlights. Get rid of the sketch. Yeah, that looks nice. Doesn't it look nice, puppy? You think it looks nice? Want some pets? Are you just interested in licking my hand? That's gross. Please don't lick my hand. Thank you very much, puppy. Alright. Bring my microphone a little closer to myself since I don't know how the audio sounds, and I personally don't care. Turn the music down a little bit. Not really at the forethought of what's happening around me. Alright, let's go ahead and get a much deeper green, I think. Desaturate it a little bit. We'll just kind of like... Actually, I have a grass brush, Flora. Kind of want some... I don't like how that looks for now. For now. Just kind of grab all of this, and then we'll just kind of go over it very loosely with our different brushes here. We just kind of want to more insinuate the grass here, and then we'll come back in with this lighter color, kind of like bring down. Got here just in time for some happy little clouds and trees. You sure did. Let's probably bring back in that color. So we're working on episode 2 right now. I actually think I want to take this color and kind of just like mute this down a lot more. Then we'll just take a slightly darker color and then just come back in gently just to break it up. Woo! Would you like some snapshots to what we did? Because you actually got to see episode 1 for the most part. I think I sent you... Oh no, I only sent you a where you appear in this sketch. Here, let me show you where your appearance is. Bam. Trezel's in the comic. Look at that. Gorgeous. Episode 1 came out pretty good. Like, I'm really proud of how some of the scenes, like, it came out. And, like, I really want to set a tone for a more crayon-like style for backgrounds. Just to kind of loosen it up and make it feel different. It'll probably get more refined as it goes. I know, right? So I definitely want to keep that, because we're using a watercolor brush to do everything. Like, in the piece I'm proud of is the second to last page of episode 1, because we really got some interesting perspective work happening. Like, it's a really nice contrast from like the original episode. Like, yeah, the original had some like intensity to it, but it's not as like dynamic as what I've achieved in basically 3 panels. And also generally, because I know you've seen the first episode, but like, there's so much more just to the feel of this comic from what I've done. Yeah, there's moments where, like, with Eric in this panel, I'm not as happy with how it came out, but it generally just looks better and more cohesive and consistent than it did before. which I think was a big issue with the original, was there wasn't a lot of consistency. Like, hold up. Let's get some examples. I like examples. So, let's take a page out of episode 2. Try to find a page where Fate shows up a lot. So, we're working on episode 2, so you'll see a lot. So, like, just in this one, there's not a lot of cohesion. Episode 1 was the standard of what the quality was. But then, actually, episode 1 being the lowest bit of quality is probably the only thing the original had going for it. However, it still wasn't very good. Everything just looked sloppy and bad. Like, let's see, this one. Episode 7, towards the end, like, yeah, it was just bad, and we're definitely making it better as we go along, style-wise, filling up more of the page more effectively. So, let's do a quick compare of just already what we have. So, first page of the original episode 1. There is way too much empty space. The dialogue is just floating. Doesn't even match. You can't really even tell what is happening, where the scene is taking place. And that's just the first page of this episode. Then we compare it to the first page of the remastered episode. We have a scene. We are in some type of small neighborhood surrounded by trees. We don't know the full context of the scene, but we see we are at least in a small neighborhood surrounded by pine trees. And then we compare that with the second page of both of this episode. So let's have page 2 of the first episode. Bam, page 2 is a massive jump in time. We don't really know where we are, what's happening. The only context had to be spelled out during lunch. Page 2. Meanwhile, for the remastered, page 2, we're not even there yet. We are now in the scene, where the page is more taken up. There's a lot more time being spent in the scene that we just set up. Already, we're using our timeline more effectively than we did in the first episode. In the original episode. And like, not everything is now white. The page is now more colorful than it was. And also the resolution is now no longer screenshot from Webtoon because I deleted them all. And like the dialogue, like let's compare the dialogue of this page to the remastered page where that matches it. Now you can tell who's talking. There's a less conversation going on in this one page, but it's setting up so much more. We're starting to break things down. And if we compare it to the next page, that's technically a sequel to this first page, yeah, it has more dialogue, but it feels less crowding, or it flows the page better. But there's still more action going on. Everybody's not just floating in a void next to a table. also the dialogue is better. Things are pretty much better. Instead of just having big bubbles of text that tell you nothing in particular, we are now seeing some dynamic conversation. And now we're also introducing characters that didn't even talk in this page. Like, let's see, we go to the next page for the original. Like, you don't even hear Isabel and Sam talk in the first episode. They are not even really present in this episode, while I now have them included in the first episode. You see them. They are talking, they are engaged in the conversation, and they are engaged in the group. And in fact, they bring the episode forward. They are now an important piece and not just side characters in the first episode that get dragged along. Much better use of my arc of the characters. All right. So let's do a comparison of what we're doing. So this is page 1 of episode 2 that we are currently working on. It picks up right where episode 1 immediately left off, poorly. So we're cutting out that top frame, bringing more attention to that scene setting background piece. And it fills the page. And it looks good. Let's get some of that color going on. And then we just bring it a little darker. Yeah. Bring this brush way down, and we're just using it to just texture this backdrop. Just to give it some more depth. We could probably hit this front piece with a little bit of lighter grass even, just to add some visual contrast to the scene. And just kind of make this a little bit bigger. And just visual contrast. Make it look a little bit more grassy. Just a little bit more grassy. There. Now we go back to our watercolor brush. And let's see, what color did we do those trees? It was just a dark oak tree. So I think I kind of want to lean into a color I don't often use, kind of like a yellow tan for a tree. It'll be really weird, but it'll have such an interesting look to it, because trees are often like just these brown colors. And we also are keeping on with our lineless style. Make a brush smaller, just to kind of play with those shapes. Kind of keep it rough. Trees aren't symmetrical. And then we'll go over it again with some more grass when we're there. Then we'll have some like thick roots coming off the tree. Some even coming out that way, just to really emphasize the size of this tree. And those are just our general shapes. Now we kind of want to come in Just kind of make sure all the color is nice and filled out. Really distinguish those shapes a little bit. Make it feel more tree-like than anything. There we go. That's tree-shaped. I want to bring this in a little bit more and then have like a branch coming off of it. Hello, Gee. And then I want to come in with a darker color. And then, maybe not that dark, come in a little bit more. And then we just kind of like add some starting shade it to accentuate those shapes. Lock the layer, of course. Really start accentuating some shapes. Make our brush a little bit smaller. So then up here will be all covered in shade because this is where all our leaves are going to be. Bring this down like that. Make that a little bit more like that. Try to like accentuate the shape a little bit, play with how the shadows are, and then we'll come in with this color and really start bringing in that contrast to really cement the shape of this tree. Thank you. I'd like to thank Jazza for his ultimate brush set. It's really been useful in the remastering of my comic here. So we're gonna bring in some kind of just gentle line work into this tree, just to give it some character, give it some shape, because trees obviously aren't straight and perfect. They got notches in them, so maybe there's just a thick knot in here, and we'll kind of like accentuate that a little bit with some even darker contrast color, just to really push that shading. Maybe not that much, but we'll kind of like gently line this edge, and then we come back in more desaturated color, and then gently let's kind of bring down the opacity a little bit and just gently, too much, there we go, gently introduce some highlights into the bark. Trees obviously aren't straight. Obviously. Have you seen a straight tree? I think not. And then we'll push that highlight bit just a little bit more, because this tree is like front and center. It'll have the most detail. We kind of want to just push that. All right, there we go. Now we kind of come back in with that'll be a good brush. So I want to come back in with some like deep green leaves. Just kind of like hang out in the foreground. And then we kind of come back in and much more gently. Let me grab some textures. Let me just kind of grab this texture stamp. All right, I want to come back into this flora, shrink the brush down, and let's kind of shape out those details and just kind of like speckle in some shading. Ooh, I don't like that. There we go. And then here's a fun hack for you. Hi, I just don't know. We're doing some art. Here's a fun hack. When you're doing highlights for trees, you actually want to push them more yellow. It's a weird trick I learned in high school when you're highlighting trees. So now I kind of want to push this back again, because it's now a little too bright, so I just want to kind of tone it down a little bit, and then let's kind of push those shapes with some like darker contrasts and kind of like bring out the shapes that the leaves are kind of forming, but not too strictly. We don't want the tree to just kind of look like you're just all of a sudden getting this like odd bubbly shape. We're trying to create something that's natural looking and present. We kind of obviously want to have some connections. And then we come back in with our darker color and then kind of like pull it in a little bit more. And also the trick with re-including some leaves that are kind of darker is then you also can see some of that bark that comes through. Let's make this a bit of a darker color so it's not so strong. And then we could just kind of have some leaves gently falling from here. And then bam! Now we have a foreground. And then we'll kind of come back in, take our main grass color here, and then just ever so gently. Actually, I think I'm going to do this with one of my sketch brushes and then just gently come up and include this tree into our grass work. Grass is obviously not straight either. They kind of go all over the place with the wind. We come back in with some darker, maybe not that dark, that's a little too dark. Come back in with some bits of darker grass and just kind of like slowly fade out the bottom of the tree. Let's unlock the layer. Kind of just want to mold out this color and let's push it more into the green so we get that. There we are. So we don't want it to look like we've just plopped a tree into some grass. Kind of want it to fade into the grass work. As so. Because we have some tall bits of grass. We kind of want to accentuate the tallness of the grass. Pull it into here a little bit more, lighten it up. We'll just do some gentle grass work. Nothing too strong, nothing too prevalent. We'll just kind of mimic the brushwork that we've just done. There. Now, most of our scene is complete. So now we kind of have to create another tree off to the side, more in the mid-ground, to really try and get to pull in more of that nature scene that we're trying to establish. Because we're trying to recreate this, like this right here, and make it better. because obviously it's not a very good look compared to what we can achieve now by trying to set up more of nature. So we'll kind of come back in with our tree color. We're gonna go back to our watercolor brush because it's just got some really nice texture that we're using for this. Let's go ahead and bring that opacity way down because we're only using it as a guide at this point to really help sell the look of what this piece looks like and what it's bringing to the story, which is to introduce our new setting, which is kind of a feature that I like doing a lot in my comic. I actually find that opening up with a pretty wide scene helps to establish we're out in nature. Here's some stuff that's just kind of in the background. It looks nice, it looks pretty. Did I already eat most of my Pocky? Wow. Alright. Let's bust out this tree. So we're gonna bust the opacity right back up and start just filling out a general shape of a tree. So trees are kind of cool where they have just multiple roots coming out all at once. And it doesn't need to look perfect because nobody's going to be looking at this for as long as I am drawing it. So we don't need to focus too hard on it. We're just here doing shapes. So then once again, we kind of pull out these main tree shapes. These trees typically will end up forking off at the top here and then becoming their own shapes. You are looking, mostly because you have to watch, you're watching the process. Welcome to the process. And then what we do is we shrink the brush down even more and kind of just follow the shapes as they break off. And we're just creating a simple skeleton for the tree just to follow. Everyone focus on it. Alright, so we have some tree shape. So what we'll do is, since this tree is behind the tree we just did, we'll create a new layer, and with a more blued shade of green, we will first eat the last bit of Pocky I have. And then we'll kind of shape out this tree. Oh, wait. First, I have to go back in with some color. This tree obviously needs shape, doesn't it? So kind of like use these contrasting colors to help reinforce that shape. Blued. You don't bluify blood unless it is for surgical purposes. So we're just kind of like following the flow of the tree very gently, moving its shape, keeping it loose since a lot of it will be covered up anyway. A lot of this will be in shadow. So let's go ahead and zoom out and then just keep doing our detail work from here because we aren't really going to be seeing much of this. pull out this even darker color, and then once again pull out this contrast. We actually kind of want to be working from a little bit farther away to make sure our contrast looks good. So we want to make sure these shapes are easy to read, and then you can identify this as, oh, this is obviously a tree. And then we'll kind of really push those bits of contrast. Not too much. We don't want it to look like this, where it's just a stripy mess. We just kind of want to gently give it those shapes. And I'm actually not happy with how dark this color is, so we'll gently go back over it, and we'll come back in and then create some highlights to help those shapes stand out just a little bit more. Because it's daytime, it's bright. So we kind of want to accentuate some highlights where we can, and then come back in with our darker color and really push those dark boundaries, because there are a lot of shadows. And then when we're done, we'll kind of like come back in with a calmer shade of green, a little bit more blue, because we want to use blue for our shadows here. And we can actually do that on this layer, since it doesn't matter. Come back in with a very light shade of blue. Actually, let's apply it to a new layer, because we just want to darken this a little bit. Alpha lock it so it doesn't go anywhere. So let's see. We bring down the darkness on this. Kind of can help create some shadows. Normal. Don't like that color. So let's kind of do maybe a multiply layer. Because this will be, the opacity will be dropped anyway. We're just kind of creating some gentle shadow work. And then, we'll go ahead and drop the opacity on this a little bit. So we're mostly just using it to create a visual difference between the locations. And then we'll do the same over here once we get there. We actually could even come in a little bit darker. Just kind of like really push those shadows a little bit. There we go. Now you can see that there is a shape to the tree, and it adds dimension. That's the goal. So then here, using a more blue shade of the green, like I said, we'll come back in with our leafy brush, and we'll keep it small, and we'll just kind of like shape out this tree in somewhat of a natural fashion. Make sure our opacity is up a little bit more. Because like trees, they're floppy and they like to sway in the breeze. But we also want to make sure we keep in mind the shape that we set up. Keep it like loose and visually appealing. So we might even bring this down just a hair, but still leave some of those branches. Maybe not. I kind of like the shape. And then we come in with our darker leaves, bring our opacity down, and then we just kind of start making a shape. So the idea is that as it kind of goes away into the distance, we kind of want it to feel less detailed. So that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here. And maybe we'll even push those darks a little bit more in some spots, really start trying to define a shape, and then bring back some of those lighter greens and kind of like creating a different shape here to balance it. Kind of want some more going on here. Yeah. Then what we'll do is then we'll kind of like move the saturation over a little bit so it's a little bit more blue, because as things are getting further away, they should get to being a little bit more of a blue tone over a what their actual color is. So that's just how atmospheres work. Come back in and just kind of like speckle it, so then it kind of looks like what it's supposed to look like. And then I think we'll kind of come back in here with our dark shadow and kind of do something similar, where we only have like speckly shadows. And then we come back in with our lighter color, and then because it's shining through the tree, come back in and use our watercolor brush to like define some of those shadows a little bit. Because we want to keep those shapes strong with our colory language, but then we also want to make sure to bring it back so it's not over reading as messy, because being messy is not the idea here. Just trying to create some nice shapes, reintroduce our color a little bit, bring some softness to this piece. And maybe we'll even like take this green here, go back to our leaf brush, and then just kind of extend it out a little bit more. Bring some roundness to this tree. Some shape language, if you will. Come out with only a little bit of a darker color. It will integrate back in. And there we are. So now, this reads nicely, and most of our background scene here is done. And now all that's left to do is create the trees far off in the backdrop where it's all nice and blue from the atmosphere, and and finish off that. Make it nice and pretty. Oh, almost forgot. Again, we also want to reintroduce our grass texture back in here. So we'll come in here, just pinch this color, and then just kind of fade some of this in. And then we'll just kind of darken it up, reintroduce those grassy shapes, bring a lighter color in, maybe not that light, maybe a little bit more saturated. I want to keep that grassy feel consistent throughout, so that way it breaks up the scene in a lot better fashion. And then we come back in with our dark blue tone, back with our watercolor, and we'll just kind of more lightly spread it around this tree. We also apply it to the branches, and that will make the tree look like it is actually taking up a little bit of space. Because we don't want the tree to look like it's just kind of floating there. We kind of want it to look like it's existing in this space. So thusly, it is casting a shadow. All right. Now for our last trees, I'm going to do them in a layer behind. I will go ahead and now merge these layers since we're not going to tweak them anymore. Since now we have their shapes all nice and stretched out, played with, and extended. Actually, before I do that, I kind of want to push this shape just a slight bit more. Just a little bit more. And then finally, just really kind of pastel green. Maybe not that much. So let's kind of carve it back a little bit. There we are. I'm more satisfied with that shape now. Really. Alright, there we go. Trying to reduce how many layers we have because there's so much happening in just this one panel. So next, we take this color, and because it's more blue, we're going to hue shift it to where it's more of a green color. So we'll take our brush, we're going to make it nice and thin, and we'll even go over it when we're done with the mask. And make sure it's nice and blue, because what we want to do here is we're creating a pseudo forest line. So these trees are just kind of existing in the background. And we just fill out this space with them. And then at the bottom, go ahead and take our ground color and then just kind of like fade it onto them to kind of like soften the fact that they're there at all. So that way they're just kind of not so floaty. Fade it back in a little bit. Because the further you go from a tree, the less it starts looking like it's so shapely. So we kind of want to feather out the shapes of these trees a little bit, just so they look like they're in place, but they still have not too much detail happening. Softness. And then here, we will be playing very much into this blue coloring, this nice cyan, and we'll even just use our watercolor brush to just like gent it in the background foliage, because there's so little of it that's actually seen that it doesn't really even matter. And then we will do a quick clipping mask. I'll lock this layer. And we will take really light blue. Maybe we'll even do this. We'll even pinch it from the sky. Color the entire thing here blue. And then just drop the opacity. I don't want it too blue, but just enough to be like, hey, there's some trees in the background. And that's kind of the aesthetic we're going for. Just some trees in the background. They're so pretty. I actually kind of want to keep this edge kind of on the dark side just to bring out that edge of the tree. And lightly fade in those colors. I think I want to bring in a little bit more dark along this edge. We'll come back in with these really dark colors because I want that edge to be squintably noticeable. And that's important. If you're doing a landscape piece, squint to really see how good your contrast is. So like if we take this piece far away, like it is now tiny. This is how I imagine squinting should look. You make it absolutely tiny, and if you can see your different shapes still really clearly, you've done a good job. And then what we'll do is now take this color, darken it up, and then just kind of create some shadows. Just to kind of create some pseudo detail and to keep those shape languages separate. Like I think I want this even darker, like right here, just to kind of make sure that those details aren't being compared to one another. And then what I can do to help emphasize those different shapes further, come back in with this color, and then we just simply go back over where the trees meet and reestablish those value differences, because that's what's going to really set this piece as a readable image, is when everything is still fairly well readable. We'll just come back in with our colors and just gently do that. And there we are. Now, who can tell me what would be a nice piece to add to this? What do we think would be a nice compositional piece to wrap this up? The bear. I agree. Oh no. Hiding behind a tree. Bears will come later. Not what I was thinking, but that's amusing. I was just thinking some birds, but okay. Y'all be extra with the bear. All right. We have finished a panel. Actually, I think there's one more thing I think I can add. Don't I have a petal brush somewhere? Distant detail. What does that mean? Oh, that could be nice. Just kind of spread it around a little bit. Maybe get some soft yellows. And then maybe a slight dash of pinks. That does nothing for this image. There we go. Distant details seemed like a cool idea, but it's fine. Some bees. We all know it's so the bear can have honey. Goofballs, I swear. Anyway. So now we kind of bring back our sketch piece, which we'll bring below that, so we no longer see it. And then... So this panel originally is dedicated to the spoon cast passed out by the woods. So maybe let's see, what's the next panel include? So everybody's passed out and then they get up. And Fate's just over here doing things. So
right now isn't what we're building for.
We could we could have it to where we still see everyone passed out. On the ground, because I think that is an integral detail. Oh, you guys are so funny with your bears. So let's see, we have one person there who's just kind of in the grass. Let's see, how did it look in the original? Isabella's face planted, yeah, okay. Bears are great, but not for what I'm currently doing. And then I think we'll kind of have like another character, probably Ethan right here. It's just kind of like face planted himself. And then his hair is just kind of like all over the grass. Bears +4 sequel win. Oh yeah, Whisper, teach the people how to use the thing. There is text to speech. I don't know how people can use it though. Learning time? No, I didn't. It's still on. I didn't turn it off though. It's on. I never turned it off. I don't know how it's turned on to begin with. That's odd. Let's fix that. Is it on now? No. Let's see. I will fix it. I will try. Okay, it should be on now. Hold on. Okay. I see. Widgets. I figured out why it doesn't work. Hold on. There you go. Now you should have it. There it is. I fixed it. Figured out why it wasn't working. That's where it is.
I have learned a thing.
There we go.
You have indeed learned a thing.
Yay! Okay. Back to art. Play with that as you will. you watching stream on phone anyway? So let's see, we have Ethan who's a little bit passed out. Or that head shape, and then at least Iggy is honest. Mm. Hmm. Stock images do have their uses. Start over, it's just too big anyway. Then we would have neck. Look at my reference again. The shoulder would end up being flat. Unless we do that to where it's just elbow and then shoulder, and then his hair is just kind of just all over the place. Let's see that, so how far does the elbow come out from the head? It'd probably just be above it, so yeah, I have it right. So then, let's see. I'm gonna reinforce the outline here. Whisper, don't bully Gee. Don't bully Gee, he's sensitive. He's a sensitive young boy.
What's the threat? We all sell out every day. Might as well be on the winning team. It's business. That's all it is. You still don't get it, do you, Business?
All right. trees right here. Maybe no. I think it'd be better to use this space if it weren't. Then we'd have. This is a hard scene to make better. I really went easy on it in the original. It just spooned everybody. Everybody was turned into spoons for the sake of convenience. Actually, that means his head would be a bit bigger. A bit higher up, I guess. Does it then be resting on his elbow here? Or on his arm? Make this more up here. Which means this all needs to be shrunk again. Or, there we go, that fixed the perspective. And then once again, grayish. Just grayish everywhere. Then we have Sam, who's over here as well. Hopefully I did more. Not so much happening here. So, a straighter. Oh, nope. Straighter. That ain't straight. We just use this tool. So I have a straight line to follow. And just kind of erase it a little bit. Not have it so sharp and intense. There we are. Keeping everything kind of loose and sketchy. So she's also kind of just passed out over here. I might actually adjust the proportions a little bit just so they make a little more sense. Ooh, this is a hard page, let me tell you. Her arm's just gonna be jutting out over here. Thank you, Guy. She's laying on her side, so that would mean like her calf would be right here, and then her foot is like right here. And then I think we just might see Eric's shoe. And then he'll just be kind of like off camera, because I don't think he's necessary to convey anything here. It would be more that. Okay, the perspective's weird again. Let's take Sam here. Give her a rotate. And put her kind of off camera, maybe? Just so she's visible, but not center point. And then we'll just kind of have like one of Eric's. Actually, let's make Eric. Actually, this might in the original this was like my foot. So this is my foot. It's like barely in frame at all. And then oh boy, this is difficult. Could just have his hand in frame. He'll be laying kind of like this. No, they're just passed out. I wouldn't kill off my main cast that easy. It's a big fly. Alright, I think this is the best I'm gonna do here. So, let's first start off with kind of just copying over this grass color. Oops. Texture is important. Neat. Flora. Actually, it should be much smaller. What I think I can do, take like a slightly darker green and then just gently layer it, just to create some pseudo depths.
Hello, darkness, my friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Alright. Let's get to sketching. Or some Good old fashioned drawing. Mm. Mm. There we go. Good enough. Alright. Need... I did not. Oh well, we're dealing with it. Okay, this is slower. There we go. Now we got some speed. One moment for intermission. Okay, I'm back. Had to, heard a dog bark, so I thought my dog was outside. And then I fed my guinea pig. But we're all good now. How was she colored in episode prior? So say she's wearing like a deep set of blue jeans. And these. All right. I'll have to do. Draw on the correct layer this time. Because, geez. Alright, so. Alright. We come back to our color. He was wearing a long sleeve actually, wasn't he? Yep. Just gonna pinch that color. Is he wanting out again? 1 second. Alright. Now that the doggo has been let aside, let's resume some good old-fashioned coloring. Excuse me. Boy, oh boy, do I regret drawing grass now. Alrighty. What's up? Why are you alerted? Nope, sorry fam. Not this time. Him is massive. We should fix. I'm gonna fix that. Sorry, my Wi-Fi did an oopsie. What did I miss? Nothing much. Whisper failed a jump scare. Oh.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is... Please note, the new number is...
Alright. 1 second. Okay. Pet the doggo. The doggo is
Blood for
now
the blood
happy.
god.
Blood for the blood god? Hell yeah, blood for the blood god. Okay. Oh. My mum called me. Let's make her a bit bigger. There we go. And then I'm just gonna delete her silhouette and redraw it, or recolor it. Hate to do it, but it's the only way to make it look good at this point. This is a creepy song. I'm not drawing a bear. Have to do a whole study to draw a bear.
Once upon a time, a bear mauled 5 people, left them on the ground, and lived happily ever after.
Bear. Oh boy. I will not acknowledge this tomfoolery. There, she's fixed.
He mauled them with his bare hands. LMAO.
Alright, this panel isn't my best work, but we're gonna fix it with just a lot of shading. So let's see, they're kind of just out in the sun for a moment, so I think we'll just do a multiply layer. Make sure to alpha lock it, bring down its opacity, and then we'll just kind of make it work. Actually, I should use the watercolor brush for this. It adds some really nice texture. I want to bring down the opacity of the shadow just a little bit more. Excuse me. Okay. Once again, that panel is not my best work, but you know what? It's doing something. Yeah, a bit darker look. Okay, cool. Alright. Now to fix all of this with a bunch of grass. Alright. It's not my best work, but it looks better than that. I'll give myself that much. My puppy is sad that I'm not paying attention to him. He's just whimpering in the other room. Alright. Not a bad first page. We've spent 2 hours on this. Save as. PNG. Save. Yes, please. I guess another thing I can do real quick. Just to kind of like break up everything. No, maybe not like that. And then finally, there we go. Fixed it with some effects. It's a very nice picture. Alrighty. So now that we've covered that, we can close this page. Oh, we're done with that as well. And then let's go ahead and create another one. Alright, so let's compare where we are now to what we need to do. Okay, so I think let's do some pencil sketching. So I think this will be another thin. Oh, darn it. This will be another thin panel. Isabel will be the main focus here. She's just waking up from whatever the hell just happened to them. Then, let's see. And then we could have another large-ish panel here. And then kind of like split it up. I don't like how that divided. Then we divide the panel like this. This is my shortcutty way of slicing the panels. And it's roughly half. Although I wouldn't mind if this was like a little bit more this way. There we go. Just a little bit more space in between the panels. Give the panels some space to breathe. Let's see, what'll be in here? So we have Isabel waking up, getting up, checking to see if everyone is okay. So perhaps there would be a text bubble here. No! Don't know what that was, but that's weird. And then a text bubble here. And then she'd be asking, is everybody okay? And then maybe, because we have an Ethan reply, probably that'd be good, like right here. I want to make it more pronounced bubble, but I also want it to break that. Alright. Go back to squares. And I think we'd have maybe another panel right here. Try to keep it the same length. So let's do some text muddling, as I want to call it. So let's see, our font is Corbel. Center it is everyone okay? We got is everyone okay? Followed by a yeah. I think so. Corbel needs to come down to 80. This also needs to come down to 80. Then we can go ahead and come back into here. And then just kind of erase these. I did this wrong. I normally just do it, the circles on their own layer, and then go back to erase them. This is fine. Since it's just a sketch, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to get the idea across. Then I think maybe one more circle here. Who would say this one? Maybe because Isabel starts first, then Ethan does a response. Who calls out for Fate? Is Fate good? Yeah, so make that a 90 just so it has a little bit more space. That looks better. I might make this bubble a little bit smaller when I go do the actual stuff for it. There we go, that looks better. Let's see. Center, horrible, 80 spacing. Pretty good Fate. Name close. So that would mean this bubble would need to be a bit wider than it is long, which is fine. So this frame would be focusing primarily on Isabel. She's center frame. Goofy hair and all. This will just be a really rough concept sketch. Maybe wider. Chin more upwards. And her hair just kind of like floofs off this side, kind of cloud-like. And then shirt. A little bit more flyaway strands. Yeah. That looks nice. Maybe not too outward for her cheek. Kind of keep it more contained. Oh. Actually, I think the whole expression needs to be turned. The face is more this way. So I'll kind of correct the axis there. So, actually, I think maybe Roan or Floof. And I am very much exaggerating how much Floof Isabel actually has. She has more just curly hair, but as just like Floof. And that's kind of something I want to retain, just kind of exaggerating the characteristics of the characters for the sake of just general appeal. So we have Isabel front and center, waking up. Then I'm thinking we have our horizon line, maybe up a little higher. Actually, maybe a little lower. Actually, horizon line should be where her eyes are. Be pinky on the inside here. A little bit more. Floof would be disturbed here. 1, 2, 3. Then she's talking here. Now that she's sitting up. Don't thicken the arms too much. Push and pull those details. Hurt, of course. Sleeves. This arm would be down, supporting weight. This would be kind of wrinkled as we get off into where her legs are. And just generally floof her up. And then we'll kind of just have like some sparse trees in the background. They're kind of near a wooded area, but it's not like heavily wooded. It's more for aesthetic background choices. And I think maybe we just take her all together and just kind of shift it. Yeah, shift her off center a little bit. Actually, no. Kind of just keep her in center. That works fine. And just kind of floof things up for sketching purposes. Only have a half hour left before I have to leave. And then I think we'll have a smaller shot. So we have continuing horizon line just to create a semblance of focus. So then let's see, I think we'll have Ethan right here. Actually, no, Ethan would have to be here because that's where he is logically. And maybe he's just kind of like barely even off the ground. Hair is just all in a tizzy. Because that's kind of how I remember him. He's just got all the floof, but no containment of it. And then we just have Eric kind of looking dead over here. Actually, he'd be more facing that way. His hand was like right over here. This is a heck of a drawing. I drew his hand wrong. Oh well. Go ahead and do a save of this. So we're on FTE 2.2. I think we'll only have like one tree in this frame. Scroll bubble. And then I think we'll just kind of like a cloud. There we are. Figure that out more later. Grass. Just more grass. And then I think this will be this frame here. So I think this episode did a fairly okay job of having a better sense of pacing. But I'm trying to like pull back on how much I say in a panel or in a page and try to stretch that out across. So then we just kind of have like a face down fate. Here is really just all types of around. Family Horizon Line. No Horizon Line. Just Grace. Just all kinds of nonsense right here. Let's see, it would dip down and then come up. See, so then we have shirt. Just kind of is there. Alright, alright. Got stuff going for us. If anything, I do want to move as well. I feel like this can still be posed better, like. There we go, that's a little bit more dynamic. Rotate this bit of further back. Not too much back. There we go. As we want to at least try to. There we go. And then of course Grace. Lots and lots of Grace. Woo! I feel like that's a good amount of progress for this stream. For anybody who's hanging in there, I think we'll go ahead and call it a stream since I gotta get going here in 20-ish minutes. So, thank y'all for showing up. It's a really good stream. I'm happy to have everyone here to support the comic. I'm really excited to get the second episode a little bit more in the works. But finishing the first page is at least something, and we at least got started on the second page and finished its rough draft. And I'm off work tomorrow, so I'm gonna do another day-long stream, and I think I'll just focus on working on the comic again. Since I did a lot of Isaac streams this last week, I think it'll be good to have a change of pace and get back to working on the comic so I don't make myself feel like it's more work than it actually is, and I'm having a quite pleasant time really pushing the skills that I have. So I hope you enjoyed this short stream, and I hope to see you again tomorrow, where we'll get back to working on the comic and continue pushing forward on getting the content ready, because I want to get at least a few episodes done before I end up releasing the remastered episodes. For sure, because it would be very unwise to just start uploading them as I get them done like I have in the past. It's actually recommended to have a backstock. So maybe after episode 4, I'll start having them be scheduled to release every other week. That way I would, like, by episode 4, that would be 2 months worth of content ready to go if I only release 2 episodes a month. And then that would give me a lot of time to see if I can keep getting those episodes ready to go, because I don't want to rush it, especially because I haven't uploaded to this comic in literal months, maybe even a year or so. So this remastery is a really big deal. So hopefully this will be a good way to start progress again. So we gotta at least try to get to episode 4 before I'm ready to start uploading them. And then I need to figure out what would be a good day. Maybe Fate Tales Fridays would be a good way to updo it. Yeah, I think that sounds good. Fate Tales Fridays. So every other Friday each month there will be a Fate Tales comic. Or every other week each month. So hopefully that's an easy schedule to maintain, and if I get multiple episodes done in a row, like in a week, then that would mean I'd have time for breaks, or I could just keep working on them as I need to. And I'm really thinking of spending more time on each episode and hopefully progressing the story, because right now there's only technically 9 episodes out. So that means after episode 9 there would be, hopefully, actually I don't even think we'll have 9 episodes by the time we catch up, because realistically I've already given episode 1 more information than it originally had, and I plan to do the same with episode 2. So episode 2 might even be a combination of both episode 2 and 3. However, if I do that, that means I am basically removing Ethan's entire episode, because if I'm correct, he has all of episode 3, because I basically let each character have an episode all for themselves. So that would also probably mean I'd have to actually put in more thought into the grand slam story of the entire first season, because that basically would allow me to really dig deep into what the world is, because that's kind of what episode 2 does. Episode 2 acts as like, oh, here's just some mystical knowledge about the world we are now in. So that's pretty exciting news at the very least. So this episode should be more jam-packed with information, and should take some time to try and flesh out where we are and probably start to develop some character dynamics, how we talk to each other, since episode 1 only hints at that. And then each of the characters in the next few episodes will be fleshed out more indefinitely, being more shown off for who they are individually. That's what the next, 4 episodes are about, just giving each of the characters a moment to shine and really show off their personalities. Because I could just combine all 4 of the next episodes combine all 4 of the next episodes into one and then move along, but we'll see how that goes. I kind of want to feel out the pacing of these next few episodes to see if that would make sense, because I don't want to take away like a small episode from each character, but at the same time, because of the amount of pages I'm now willing to do before I release an episode, I have to consider, would it be effective to only do one, to like focus on what's next for each character in the next few episodes? Or would it be smart just to breeze past this and then hold on a second. Anyway, dog tore up stuff, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and stream. Yeah, so I got some things to think about for the next few episodes, and I hope to see y'all again tomorrow.